So, you may be thinking about selling your home yourself to save on commission. Lots of homeowners do, but before you make that decision, let me share my personal experience. My name is Kerry, and I'm a realtor located in Monmouth County, New Jersey. Before I became a realtor, I thought the same way. As a financially savvy professional, I assumed I would benefit by selling my own properties and saving on commission. So I did. I handled my own sales and purchases multiple times, confident I was making the right financial move. But it wasn't until I became a highly educated and experienced realtor that I looked back and realized how much money I actually left on the table. I sold too low, accepted terms that weren't the best, and overpaid when buying. The biggest reasons? My emotions got in the way, and I lacked any of the real estate education that I have now. When you're selling your own home, it's personal. That makes negotiations so much harder. I took things personally, got defensive when buyers pushed back, and made decisions based on emotion rather than strategy. It's inevitable. But beyond that, I simply didn't know what I didn't know. How to price strategically, how to leverage market data, and how to negotiate from a position of strength. An experienced, well-educated realtor brings more than just some market knowledge. We have proven strategies, industry insights, and negotiation techniques that most homeowners wouldn't even think to use. These are the kinds of skills that make a real difference in what a seller actually achieves at the closing, the net price, the proceeds. And I see sellers struggle with this all the time. All they're looking at is the sales price and not all the other things that are going to affect what they actually receive on closing day. Here's a reality check. That's one of the biggest challenges of for sale by owner. Selling a home isn't just about finding a buyer. It's about pricing it strategically, marketing it to the right audience, and negotiating the best possible terms. Terms equate to money. Studies show for sale by owner homes typically sell for less than those listed with an experienced agent, and having been on both sides of this, I can tell you firsthand that it's true. Now, this next part is what really prompted me to want to make this video, because I think a lot of people don't understand this or just haven't heard about this. But one of the biggest reasons, obviously, sellers choose for sale by owner is to avoid paying commission. But here's something that most do not realize. Recent changes in real estate law have made it far less expensive to list with a professional realtor. As of August 2024, sellers are no longer required to pay for the buyer's real estate representation. For decades, sellers were responsible for covering both their own listing brokerage fee and the buyer's brokerage fee. That's no longer the case. Now you only pay for your listing brokerage's fee, which means the cost to sell with a professional realtor has been cut by approximately half. This makes professional representation much more affordable, while still giving you the expertise, exposure, and strategic marketing that can help you get the best net price at closing. Now, with regard to the listing brokerage commission that you do still pay, please note that a real estate transaction is a highly time-intensive process for a listing agent. From start to finish, it typically takes a realtor at least 8 weeks of dedicated planning, preparation, execution, and management. When you factor that in, it should explain why commissions are what they are. It's not just about listing your home. It's about coordinating showings, managing offers, negotiating, handling inspections, and everything else that's involved in getting your transaction to the closing table. It's a lot of work, and an experienced realtor makes sure every step is handled properly. Here's one example of where I stepped in to save my clients money. In my most recent listing, the seller's attorney allowed their paralegal. Paralegals often do a good bit of the work involved in the attorney review process. But in this case, they allowed the paralegal, who was either just inexperienced or just too emotional, to negotiate the seller's inspection issues with the buyer's attorney. And in doing so, she gave away $2,000 that my seller did not authorize. I knew immediately that it wasn't acceptable. So I stepped in and pressured the attorney to give my client a $2,000 credit towards their closing costs. They weren't happy about it, but the attorney's firm ended up eating that $2,000. My client would never have known that what was done was inappropriate, and they never would have sought to get their money back. And without my intervention, I'm confident they wouldn't have gotten that money back. So that's just one example of how my real estate education and expertise in all phases of the transaction, all combined, net my clients more money at the end of the transaction. There are countless other pieces of advice and strategic decisions I make throughout the process that often lead to more money for my clients. I could go on, but I'm sure you get the idea. Another major risk of selling your home on your own is the inability to properly vet your potential buyers. For sale by owner sellers don't have the experience or resources to know whether a buyer is truly qualified to close on the property. Realtors are trained to assess buyers' ability to follow through, which can help you avoid wasting time getting a deal under contract with someone who ultimately can't close. That also happens all of the time. Another critical issue that for sale by owner sellers face is the legal side of the transaction. Did you know there are specific things that you as a seller are legally required to disclose to buyers? Missing or misrepresenting disclosures can expose you to legal risks down the road. Realtors are experts at managing these legal aspects, ensuring that all your required documents, there are a lot of addendums, are in order, and that you avoid potential legal problems later. When you work with a professional realtor, you're getting far more than just someone to list your home on the MLS. You're gaining a trusted advisor who's there to guide you through every phase of the transaction. That includes expert advice on pricing, the strategic marketing, legal disclosures, negotiations, inspections, and so much more. In the grand scheme, all of this work and knowledge adds up. Sure, you might get a save on the commission fee, but the value you receive in terms of the higher sales prices, better terms, higher net price at closing, the smoother process, more than compensates for that fee. It's an investment that pays off. One of the other key benefits of working with a professional like myself is access to such a broad network of potential buyers. Not only do I list your listing in the Monmouth Ocean MLS, where about, 8,000 realtors are going to see your listing and disseminate it to their buyers, but I personally pay to advertise your property on social media to attract out-of-area buyers, like New York City buyers, the 5 boroughs, northern New Jersey. These are buyers who may be willing to pay more for your home than buyers coming locally. This type of exposure is something for sale by owners will miss out on, leaving money on the table that they could otherwise have earned. I totally get why people would consider and choose for sale by owner, especially back in the day, not too long ago, when they had to pay both sides of the transaction. I mean, I did it myself, so obviously I understand. But now, as someone who studies market trends, analyzes financial data, and then applies that to all of the tricks that I know about in real estate, I know how much value I add to my clients' transactions, not just in getting them more money in closing, but just giving them the freedom not to have to be involved at such a deep level. It's a very stressful process. So anyway, I really, in the current environment, do not see any benefit to doing a for sale by owner. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of what's ahead of you if you choose to be a for sale by owner. There are a lot of pitfalls. The cost to have representation today is completely worth it. Just choose the right realtor, and you'll be very happy you did. If you're thinking about selling and you want to talk to me, please call me. I don't pressure anyone. I'll just give you honest guidance to help you make the best decision for your situation. I can certainly help you sell your home for the highest price, the best terms, and without the stress of going it alone.